Live.
We've had a mainly clear day, and with that, Storm Tracker Live not picking up anything in the way of precipitation just yet. That changes for tomorrow, though, but it's because of those clear skies. Temperatures were able to be a little bit warmer today, so tonight will be a little bit more mild. We'll have the full forecast coming up, but first, WDHN News starts now.
First in local news, this is WDHN News at 6.
Good evening, I'm Kevin Presley. Thank you for joining us. People are reacting to reports of what happened a few weeks ago at the Dothan Civic Center, a physical altercation between blogger Ricky Stokes and Commissioner Albert Kirkland. Stokes, who many say is a very controversial figure, says he was pushed against a wall and choked by Kirkland after a verbal confrontation. The story first appeared here on WDHN yesterday, and the mixed reaction is pouring in. WDHN's Carolyn Brewster has been following this. She spoke to lots of people today and joins us now in the studio. Carolyn?
That's right, Kevin. Many I spoke to today say they were shocked, surprised that a public figure would lose his temper and choke someone. But some say it doesn't sound like something Kirkland would ever do. They believe the act was provoked, while others are now calling for his resignation.
Well, I believe he should resign. When you're in that kind of position, you're supposed to be able to maintain some kind of accord and discipline for yourself because you're in the public's view all the time.
District 3 Commissioner Albert Kirkland allegedly choked web blogger Ricky Stokes, pushing him against a wall in the Dothan Civic Center arena just minutes after being sworn in as a member of the City Commission. Stokes spoke with us yesterday about the incident.
A lot of people probably say Ricky Stokes deserved it a long time ago, but that doesn't give him the right, doesn't give me the right to physically, what would have happened if I had grabbed him by the neck and put him up against the wall? Let's reverse the situation. You cannot put your hands on somebody, period.
We tried to talk to Kirkland yesterday, but he declined to comment.
I don't want to comment on that. That's not public.
Now some are defending Kirkland, while others are saying he needs to resign.
From what I know of him, Albert's a fine fella. I've never seen him. Everybody gets ill once in a while, but he's always been a good fellow around me.
Well, either an explanation of remorse for what he did, that it was wrong, and then turn around and resign anyway. But to just be silent about it, he's admitting his guilt. He has no remorse about it, no apologies that he felt are necessary. So he needs to go.
Stokes has not filed any charges yet, but he says he won't rule them out in the future. He does have a year to file. Kevin?
Carolyn, thank you. Meanwhile, a poll is up on our website. Do you think Commissioner Kirkland should resign over this incident? You can weigh in by going to dothanfirst.com. New information on last night's police shooting in Eufaula. Police have identified the suspect now. Authorities say 28-year-old Cameron Massey was pronounced dead at a local hospital a little after 5 o'clock last evening. Police say since the matter is under investigation by the ABI, which is routine, they cannot say anything else about the case. This did all stem from a traffic stop on Eufaula Avenue, and events escalated to the point police say the suspect had to be shot. A woman will spend a year in work release from stealing from the Columbia Baptist Association. Tanya Woodward was sentenced today to 46 months in prison. However, Judge Butch Benford ordered her to serve 12 months in community corrections. Woodward will serve the other 34 months on probation. Woodward pleaded guilty to embezzling more than $100,000. Investigators say the thefts occurred over a 5-year period while she was employed at the association. Woodward was immediately taken into custody. A man has been sentenced to 7 years in prison for electronically soliciting sex from a child. 53-year-old Russell Bollinger was arrested 2 years ago. Court records show he attempted to meet a girl for the purpose of having sex. The records show he did so through the use of a text message to the victim. Bollinger is from Troy, but listed a downtown Dothan motel as his address when arrested 2 years ago. More local news now. After a rash of burglaries in the last 3 weeks, Dothan police have beefed up patrols, putting more officers on the ground. That's including in its bike unit. WDHN's Jamise Price caught up with bike officers today and joins us here now with more. Jamise, what are the officers looking for?
Kevin, they're looking for anything that's out of place, suspicious cars and people. Now, these officers may not have all the bells and whistles as a patrol car, but the bike unit is proving to be another tool to help fight crime.
So let's take a look at them cars over there, see if you see any doors cracked open on them, anything on the ground.
It's just another day at the office for these two officers. Corporal Dennis Salas and Jeff Arnold spend their days hitting the streets.
They got a screen door on the side of the back of the house.
They're patrolling some of the neighborhoods that were targeted by thieves over the last few weeks.
Take a look at these other vehicles.
Arnold has been with the bike unit for the last 3 years. He says the bike actually gives him an edge when it comes to fighting crime.
A little smaller thing that we're on here, so we're able to, we can go through backyards, around corners, trees, or whatever, may be in the way, and it's a little more sneakier. So, we may catch something going in between houses or behind a parked trailer in the yard or something, and who knows what we're going to roll up on.
And they didn't roll up on anything when I was along, but they have been first on the scene to several calls.
They're always coming upon something, whether it's a suspicious person, out on the corner or in the roadway. So, there's quite a few, cases, being made because of, the utilization of these bicycles. So they're a real effective tool for us to use in the community.
Lieutenant Todd David with the PD's traffic division says an officer on a bike is more approachable than one in a car, which has led to several tips that went on to crack some cases.
It's kind of a unique situation. When people see a police officer on a bicycle, it doesn't matter if they're 8 years old or 80 years old. They like to approach us and talk, and certainly it develops leads and good information. On a bike, you're exposed to the public.
There are nearly 30 officers with the bike unit, which has helped double the manpower on the streets. David says just their visibility has already been a deterrent for criminals. Now, these officers are patrolling a lot of area once Corporal Salas tracked 23 miles in a day. Kevin?
I've been seeing them around Westgate Parkland. I'm out on my runs. Thank you, Jamise. Keeping it local. A new retail development is in the works for Dothan. It's in the Old Mexico lot right across from the mall on Montgomery Highway. Rock Creek Station will be home to 3 new retailers. Today, the Planning Commission approved the development plans for the building. Planning Director Todd McDonald says one of the retailers will be a mattress store. The other is Men's Warehouse, a men's dress clothes retailer. The next step is approval of the construction plans. The Howell School project is moving forward. Developers want to turn the old school into a living facility for seniors. The project will include nearly 60 assisted living units. The entire area will have a campus-like feel with plans of adding cottages and bungalows around the building. Tomorrow, the community will have its chance to hear firsthand about the changes to the school at a community forum. Many people are already excited about what could come.
I've been looking for something for a long time to come into the community. It will help my daycare also, which is across the street. I've been there 15 years. But also it will bring jobs to our community. Our loved ones will be able to keep our people here locally. They won't have to travel to Graceville or Panama City to visit their loved one. It'll bring jobs.
The meeting will be held at Cherry Street AME Church at 7 o'clock. Turning to state headlines now, a Cherokee County woman received an unexpected item in the mail, the Army helmet her father wore during the Second World War in France. Robert Richardson explains how a man from Paris helped the family receive a piece of history.
It's like having Dad back home with us.
William Luther Abney Jr. died in 1997, more than 50 years after he returned home from World War II. His Army helmet returned 2 weeks ago.
To know that he put it on his head and wore it, it's like being there with him.
A dentist from Paris recently acquired the helmet from his uncle and noticed it had military identification.
He found our father's name inside the helmet here, William L. Abney, and his Army ID number, and he went online and tracked it down.
Chris Dendy was surprised to learn France has a public database listing many of the American soldiers who served there during the war. It listed her father's hometown, and from there he found cemetery records listing Abney's daughters. He found an address in Lafayette, Georgia, and mailed a letter, but that address hasn't been used for 20 years.
One of the people at the post office knows my sister and recognized the name, and even though it was in the dead letter file, she forwarded it to my sister, and it's just been a wonderful thing.
The family got in touch with the Frenchman, and he quickly shipped the helmet. He declined to accept payment for postage, saying the French are indebted to men like Chris's father. Chris would like to donate these items to the World War II Museum in New Orleans, but hopes to find some more information first.
The great mystery remains. Where has the helmet been, and why did my dad make it home without his helmet?
That was Robert Richardson reporting. Although Dendy says she'll never get those answers, she says it's overwhelming to simply have her father's helmet. Up ahead, it's not your typical wedding, but 10 days after being diagnosed with terminal cancer, one man was rushed by ambulance to the altar. We'll explain.
The dry trend is about to end. We'll have the forecast next.
First in local news, you're watching WDHN News at 6 with Kevin Presley, meteorologist Scott Roberts, and sports with Josh Roltenberg.